You had a stable career. Your wife had a wonderful career. You made the decision to press pause on that life in India, move to Australia, and pursue a new chapter. And then 6 months later, the world shut down because of COVID. Success will certainly follow, but happiness is not necessary. So you need to be clear about the distinction between the two. You made this choice in your 40s to go and venture, disrupt everything that was there, and go and study. Because people, who might be listening today might be in their 20s, they may be in their 30s, 40s. I don't know who is listening to us. But I think people often think that my problem is the biggest in the world. But, somebody who has responsibility on his shoulder and making a choice like this and having to live with it when you see it falling apart puts you on a different path. Did you think it was still worth taking that shot?
It looks like the universe has different plans, and when we decided to come back, we get very comfortable in the space that we are in, right? Everything is all right. 30th of the month, there's an SMS that comes, ching, salary is credited in your account. It was handling the emotional side of things with the family, and trying to reassure all of us that don't worry, things are going to be all right. We are going to make things happen in a different way going ahead.
Welcome, Rahul, to Between Dreams and Deadlines, the podcast that we hope to capture some real life stories. The podcast where we explore the journey of people who are navigating ambition, responsibility, setbacks, and purpose in the real world. Every episode here is about that space we all live in between the dreams we carry and the deadlines life places on us. Today's conversation is one that many of you will deeply relate to. My guest, who is Rahul Zaveri with me today, someone who has spent over 2 decades working closely with students, helping them discover clarity, leadership, and confidence. At a time when young people are overwhelmed with choices and expectations, through his venture EduPathways, Rahul has mentored and impacted hundreds of students and families. But the story we will explore today is not just about education. It's about a journey that moved through four powerful phases: passion, pain, purpose, and progress. A journey that involved taking a leap of faith, relocating to another country with family facing an unexpected global crisis, and then rebuilding life and work around something deeply meaningful. Rahul, welcome to Between Dreams and Deadlines. So, Rahul, I want to begin by taking you back to a very specific moment. You had a stable career. Your wife had a wonderful career. You made the decision to press pause on that life in India, move to Australia, and pursue a new chapter. And then 6 months later, the world shut down because of COVID. And suddenly, the plan you had built began to collapse. When you realized that everything you had planned was suddenly uncertain, what was the first thought that went through your mind? You can
So,
start.
hi Sashi for the beautiful introduction. On your specific question, what was the first thought? It was a lot of haziness. I distinctly remember Australia went into shutdown because of COVID a week earlier, and then India announced a shutdown after that. And the first thought was like, what is this happening? We've just come here. It was 3 months. I was pursuing my doctorate. In fact, my research by coursework was just about completing, and I was moving on to doing research in the thesis format with my mentor and guide. Gina, my wife, had gotten a very good stable job. I had gotten a job over there, which was a requirement for us to stay there for the long time. And when they announced a shutdown, it was a very hazy feeling, really. I mean, what did you feel? What did you think? There was no feeling. It was confusion. Like, what's happening? And when India went into shutdown, and then when Australia didn't open up, Okay, for 4 weeks is when it hit us that we don't know. It looks like we are in uncharted territory over here, and how we are going to pan this out, play this out with my child being in school over there, the school shut down, school moving online, we both sitting home at that point of time, and that's when slowly the reality dawned on us that this might be 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, one and a half
You
years.
never know.
Yeah. Uh, so it went from haziness, confusion to reality hitting us hard, to then making a difficult decision that, look, this was something that we decided at a later stage of career. Typically students do it in their late teens or early 20s to go and study abroad, but I decided post my 40 to do that. But it looks like the universe has different plans, and when we decided to come back.
So, when you came back to India and the reality started setting in,
Yeah.
uncertainty about the future, financial pressure, responsibility towards family, what was the first week like emotionally for you? What were the kind of thoughts running through your mind during that period of time?
Sure. So we came in a repatriation flight. It was Sydney Ahmedabad, and because there were no flights to Mumbai at that point of time, so it
Hmm.
was Sydney, Delhi, Delhi, Ahmedabad, I believe, was what the flight was. And as per COVID protocol at that point of time, we had to stay quarantined in a hotel
Hmm.
for 11 days, if I remember correctly. So we went from Ahmedabad to Baroda, and we were quarantined in a 200 square feet room, all three of us, for 13 days. Uh, and it was tough. It was difficult. More so for space constraints. We were relieved that we are back in India.
Hmm.
At the same time, we didn't know how we were going to go back to Mumbai, the hometown. But yes, the first thought was okay. There is a relief. At the same time, there is uncertainty about how it's going to take it forward from here.
Yeah. In fact, often when you go through a phase like that, the toughest moments are not the public ones. They are the quiet conversations we have at home or with ourselves. During that period, what was the hardest conversation you had to have? Was it something with yourself, your spouse, your son? Which one was it?
So I don't know if there was time or opportunity to have a conversation with myself. Although we had all the time in the world doing nothing, it was
That's the irony of life, right?
yeah, yeah. It was handling the emotional side of things with the family, and trying to reassure all of us that don't worry, things are going to be all right, and we are going to make things happen in a different way going ahead.
Yeah. The reason I dwell on this is, Rahul, as you also rightly stated, that you made this choice in your 40s to
Yeah.
go and venture, disrupt everything that was there and go and study. Because people, who might be listening today might be in their 20s, they may be in their 30s, 40s. I don't know who is listening to us. But I think people often think that my problem is the biggest in the world, which is what is. But, somebody who has responsibility on his shoulder and making a choice like this and having to live with it when you see it falling apart puts you on a different path. So, but it's, did you think it was still worth taking that shot?
So a little bit of background here. I always was fascinated by going abroad and studying.
Hmm.
US, Canada. Right in my teens, uh, uh, wasn't allowed. Gujarati family, only child. So family never allowed. But so that was always a lingering desire to go there. Okay, and then things panned out in life, one thing after the other, and that desire was there, but it was more dormant. Somewhere I got the realization that if I don't go in my early 40s, my acceptance for my doctorate would go down dramatically. That was one. And secondly, we were also looking at, an opportunity to get a permanent residency later on, and which was very much there into the program. So 3 years of studies and 4 years of post-study work rights, and then it was a journey to a PR very naturally over there. So somewhere I felt that if I didn't take the plunge now, it would
Hmm.
be very difficult later on. And my wife supported wholeheartedly. Is like, it's your childhood desire. Let's go and do it. So as you rightly said earlier, she had a very, very good private practice over here. My son was very well settled in his Cambridge curriculum. I was heading a business in a net tech company with a team of 39 people reporting to me. Everything was there, and we decided to take the plunge, which was a desire to be fulfilled with a lot of thought out plan A, plan B, plan C. We didn't plan for COVID
I mean,
at that point of time. So, to answer your question, was it worth it? Was it the right decision? In retrospect, I think it was worth it because a lingering desire, I didn't want to die with the desire that had I gone there, life would have been different. Uh,
yeah.
yeah. So,
Yeah, totally. Because, see, that's the $1 million question, right? It's
yeah,
never the absolute perfect time to make decisions in
yeah,
life. But there is only so much of a plan B, C, and D you can have. But there is always the unknown which will be there. But should that stop you from taking any decisions? I think the answer is a no. You must explore life, but be prepared for what could be coming. And then you plan your way forward accordingly.
yeah.
So you tell me one thing, like, sometimes in life there is a subtle shift in our thinking.
Hmm.
The question changes from why is this happening to me to what is this trying to teach me?
Yeah.
Do you remember when that shift began to happen for you, and what was that specific moment or a conversation that triggered this?
So, thankfully, I'm a little spiritually inclined, if I'm allowed to bring this into the conversation over here.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely.
And uh, I remember in school, I'd read one story about a king and his minister, where he says everything happens for the best, all for the best. So his son got impaired in the leg, and people asked him, how can this be for the best? He says, don't worry, wait, it'll pan out. And then the entire uh, uh, village, youngsters from the village had to be enlisted, enrolled in the military, and he was not, because his leg was impaired, and he was saved, and all the youth of the village unfortunately didn't come back. So uh, somewhere I told myself, don't worry, this is something. See, there are two things, right? Things in our control, things not in our control. So
Absolutely.
this is the realm of not in my control. Let me accept, that the great phrase, God grant me the serenity to accept the things, change the things I can, accept the things I can't, and most importantly, the wisdom to know the difference. So, so
Easier said, but
yeah,
least
so
understood.
yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. So these are times, these are humbling times where we go back to those learnings, go back to those
Mm.
readings and teachings, and somewhere I made my peace, saying that this is what is ordained, this is what the universe wants for me. I'll go with it and make the best of whatever can be done from here.
In fact, at this point in time, I want to ask you, did
Mm.
there come a moment during that phase where you thought about simply returning to a safe corporate role and putting the idea of working with students aside?
Yes, absolutely. Yes, that idea was
It
there
did?
because
Okay.
uh, see, we all are used to that cushy jobs. There are juniors and there are teammates who are helping you optimize and maximize. Uh, Business head, 39 people reporting. It was more of strategy, thinking, execution. You have, if I can use the term, a lot of hands and legs and people to help us out all across. So yes, that thought did cross my mind. Definitely yes. At the same time, I always went back to the drawing board, that what was my purpose of wanting to leave everything and go to a doctorate. The idea was to go back to teaching, counseling, mentoring, which is what I truly enjoy. Which is what my experience had been on the corporate side, and I grew up and I got sucked onto the revenue and the P&L side of things, where teaching, counseling, mentoring uh, took a backseat.
Hmm.
So I made a conscious decision, saying that no, I want to stick to what I wanted, and outside of a doctorate, what is it that I can do to go back and do the same?
Hmm.
And that's where the idea of EduPathways started somewhere around. So we landed back from Sydney in Mumbai, Ahmedabad, Baroda, Mumbai, somewhere around June 2020. And around August, September 2020 is when I decided that I'm going to reverse engineer from
Mm-hmm.
handling students in the 19 to 26-year-old space for the longest time. I'm
Hmm.
going to go to a 10 to 19-year-old student space, which is fifth grade to 12th grade students, and bring all the experience, all the learnings into this space and go ahead. And that's how this started. So yes, definitely the thought was there. Definitely also created my resume, but then didn't go along too far in that. And today I'm happy I didn't do that. Yeah.
Glad. See, there are some activities in life that make us completely lose track of time. What is it about mentoring student that makes you feel that way? Because I think you've spent whole lot of your life, with in the education space,
Yeah.
mentoring young people. But your passion goes beyond that your profession, right? So, tell me something about that moment of truth for you.
So, Sashi, I would love to answer it in a corporate lingo, but frankly, there is no moment of truth. This is something that you enjoy. Okay,
Hmm.
I have this one test, simple test, which I tell students also. What is it that you're thinking when you're in the shower?
Hmm.
When you're bathing, what is it that you're thinking in the shower? If that thought is something that keeps coming on a regular frequency over a period of time, then that is what you truly want. Go and pursue that. At least explore that and check if that is what you really want to do. So my thought was, how can I make students' lives better? How can I help them amplify their personal, academic, and eventually their professional growth?
Hmm.
And having seen that in a slightly more elder age group, I felt a lot of those, um uh, if I can say, those missing pieces, if they are incorporated in the most formative years of kids,
Hmm.
will make a huge difference in their growth curve. So
Hmm.
the moment of truth is, this is what I enjoy, this is what I want to do, and this is what I continue doing. So uh, even if I keep telling this, even if I'm not paid for what I do, even if I die tomorrow, I'll die very happy that I have done what I truly enjoy.
See, many people carry dreams quietly for years.
Yeah,
You had the idea of building something of your own in the coaching and leadership space for students. But that idea stayed in the background for quite some time.
yeah,
What were you waiting for at that stage? Was it more experience, more stability, more confidence, or simply the right moment? While I ask you this, eventually what made you to act on this was sheer disruption,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
So, why I ask you this is many people think about wanting to do something, but they often, as I've just stated, wait for more experience, more of this, more of that,
yeah,
and then don't land up taking that plunge. But eventually, when you do, sometimes in cases like yours, it was sheer driven by sheer disruption. And magically, you always seem to have all of those. So, why didn't you plunge into this earlier?
uh, I think two or three reasons. One is we get very comfortable in the space that we are in, right?
Hmm.
uh, Everything is all right. There is 30th of the month, there's an SMS that comes, ching, salaries credited in your account. As I said earlier, you're growing nicely into a proper curve, right from being somebody who was teaching students in a class of 30. I'm handling a mass of students and a big team overall. So everything is right. So why change if it is not broken? Is the first one. The second one is, probably we build up a lot of responsibilities and costs around us, where disrupting means giving up on a lot of those things, at least for the short term. And
Yeah.
what is that short term? Nobody knows. Is it 1 month, 1 year, or something even bigger?
Hmm.
So that's the second thing. So I think it was sheer comfort and convenience which really stopped me, and which stops a lot of my friends I talk to. where I tell them that, you've done well, you've reached a nice stage. Why don't you do what you're passionate about?
Hmm.
Yeah,
You know, at this point in time, before we jump and talk a little bit more about EduPathways,
yeah.
when you decided to rebuild after that difficult phase,
Yeah.
you chose not to just survive, but to create something meaningful. How did the idea of EduPathways begin to take shape at that point in time? What was the first step you took?
Uh, so conversations with my friends, telling them this is what I'm very passionate about, and doing a simple SWOT analysis. What are the strengths? What are the
Mm,
weaknesses? What are the opportunities? What are the threats? And eventually saying, coming back to the base, that what is it that I eventually want to do? I want to do. I mentor students. There are outcomes which have largely been in favor of students and to parents liking, counseling them, mentoring them, coaching them. Uh, so these conversations help me zero down on saying that, look, I want to get into counseling them in a structured way, which is career counseling, mentoring, and building the profile, helping them with their English skills was something that I was doing for the longest time. So
mm,
it was a natural progression on that space. The bigger decision was the age group, which
mm,
was an age group which I had never handled earlier, grade 5 to grade 12. And that was more of a gut call, or a call on the basis of where is it that I'll be able to add maximum value, or as we call it in the corporate language, what problem am I solving,
Like,
right?
see,
Sharing.
often when people build something purpose driven, they
Yeah,
start with a blank sheet of paper and ask themselves, what kind of impact do I want to create? Right? When you were designing your coaching framework, what are the non negotiable values you wanted every student to experience? And the reason I ask you now this is because what you're trying to create is couldn't have been more relevant in today's time than ever before, because we are spoiled for choices.
yeah,
There is more chaos and confusion, and there seems to be a lack of understanding of oneself as well, because how do I connect the dots of who am I vis-a-vis what should I be looking for that would be relevant for me? So there are so many things, and with the kind of disruption which used to happen once in a couple of decades
yeah,
seem to be happening every other year now. I mean,
yeah,
that's the time span that is shrunk, where your ability to adapt needs to be so much more agile. So
yeah.
in times like these, people like you are most relevant, and I would like to hear from you, what is that experience that you want your students to take away from the non negotiables?
Yeah. So as you rightly said, we are living in a very volatile world. The VUCA framework,
Mm-hmm.
volatile, ambiguous, complex, and we don't know what's going to happen next. And this war of the last 11 days,
Yeah.
tells us how things can suddenly change
Yeah.
and change overnight. Uh, but if you go back to the history of the last 3-5 thousand years
Mm,
of the world, everything boils down to go back to bare bones basics. What
mm,
is it that you want to do? What is
yeah.
it that so the Ikigai framework is very beautiful, which you are a coach of, and so find your purpose, and finding the purpose is about what you love doing, what you're good at, what gives you a sense of purpose, that I'm able to make a difference to the lives of people, the country, the world, and then see if your bread, butter, and a little bit of cheese is taken care of along with it, right? So
Mhm.
what drives me is I truly gain a lot of satisfaction when I see I have made a fundamental difference in the thought process of the child.
Mm,
The way they look at the world, the way they suddenly there is this you can see in their expressions. There's a light bulb moment. Oh, I've never thought about this earlier.
yeah. Yeah.
And then we expand on it. Then we say, okay, why don't we delve more in the I don't know that I know, and I
Mm,
don't know that I don't know framework.
the black box.
Yes, yes, yeah,
more importantly, things in the past used to be, I believe, were more simpler, where you could just have a conversation between a child and a parent over a lunch table or dinner table. But life has become more complex today. Everybody seems to be pursuing big dream, and so comes with it people always on their toes. So I think now the equation between a parent and a child is also something which is very dynamic in nature.
Yeah.
So it creates the need for, I would say, a mediator, somebody like you who can mentor, who can really give some right guidance at the right point in time. But for you to start off on this new and, starting something which is new and exciting also brings with it some resistance, both internal and external. Where did you feel the biggest resistance while building this venture? I mean, was it something where people could not relate to what you were trying to do, or was it more an internal dilemma about whether you're doing the right thing? And before you answer that, what did pushing through that resistance teach you about yourself? Because it's about self discovery. What you're trying to do is all about discovery. So, what did you discover about yourself in that process?
So the resistance was really parents accepting. So I
Mhm.
started it in the midst of COVID, right? So
Right.
the resistance was really parents accepting that, such a program like leadership coaching or personal mentoring can be delivered through an online format. When
Mm,
you talk of leadership coaching or mentoring, we typically think of a 2 day, 3 day outbound that a corporate takes their best performing employees to. There is a nice conversation for 3 days. Everybody's pumped up, comes back, and expected to deliver. Right? We don't think
mm,
of leadership from a such a young age. We don't think of mentoring from a such a young age. Career counseling is something which is considered as an add-on and not at
mm,
the heart of planning what we really want to do.
mm,
So there is a lot of, if I can use the term inertia, non-seriousness, or
mm,
why do I really need it? Because first choice for parents is attending school. Second
mm,
choice is any support, coaching, which the student needs in certain subjects, science, math, or anything else. Third priority is hobbies, interest, extracurriculars. After all this, if there's some time left, chalo, kuch aur karte hain, let me explore.
mm,
So
mm,
it's the priority list of the parents where this comes in as an extra if I have time left, and we know nobody has time. So
mm.
students are caught in so many different things. Now there is such a beautiful screen that comes in and we keep swiping nonstop on it. So the
Yeah.
challenge is about understanding what value this is delivering to the child, and making a fundamental shift. So that is a challenge that I faced largely when I started off. And it has considerably gone down because now we have success stories that parents can see, relate to,
Mm.
which I keep sharing. But it's still there because it's the conditioning that we classically come from.
So, what kind of a self discovery that did that put you through?
So I told parents, look, there is something called as training, where English
Mm,
program is training, career counseling is more topical. But when you come to personal mentoring leadership, it falls in the domain of development,
mm,
where there is no A/B testing that you can expect immediately. It's not a magic wand that you wave and you get outcomes in 2 sessions or 5 sessions. It's a sustained growth and overall WIP, as we call it, that we are doing with the kid.
mm,
I am ready to put in my 100%. You ensure that you as parent are giving the support that the child needs. So one thing which I'm happy about is uh, almost all students who've come to me are happy to continue. It's not like there are a couple of sessions or a few sessions they're like, I'm getting bored. There are other interesting things like an Insta reel that I want to go to. They tend to stick with it because there's a little bit of edutainment factor. There's a little bit of diving deep, and most importantly, personalizing based on each student's requirements, which is being
So,
done.
I'm going to,
Yeah.
at this point, ask you something. So,
Yeah.
without revealing any names, could you share a story of a student who came to you feeling lost or uncertain and later experience a transformation? What changed for them?
Lot of examples, lot of examples. Let's see, as mentors, counselors, coaches, we are not the ones who bring the change. We are the catalysts showing them, look, this is your innate capability. Why don't you use it at this juncture, at this point of time? Get into a great university, take up opportunities in school, do something outside, and expand your horizons. That
Hmm.
is what we do, right? We show them options, opportunities, and be with them in a non-judgmental, supportive role. Is what the role is. So I remember this child from Gujarat 4 years back, and he and his parents are very much in touch with me even today, very happily. Very dynamic kid, very clear. Computer science is the way to go, uh, and I'm going to rock it. I'm going to have my own startup. They said fantastic. So parents started with career counseling, then they enrolled for mentoring, then he did leadership coaching with me. Over a period of time, I understood that this guy is a true blue entrepreneur. He
Hmm.
doesn't like coding. He really doesn't like computer science. It's the noise around which makes him feel excited. And over a period of time, I convinced him, look, you are much beyond just siloizing yourself into this category. And today he's happily doing beautifully in a liberal arts college in India. He's gone for a 1 year exchange program in Europe from the university, being the topper there. He's doing his CFA along with it. None of this was under consideration. It was computer engineering from IIT or NIT, which was the focus area. So this is one kid where the trajectory changed completely, but the child was dynamic in himself right from start. There was another girl who was topping her NEET scores, her NEET exams in the coaching institute.
Mm-hmm.
And the coaching guys were convinced that she's going to make it on a free seat in one of the top uh, colleges, hospitals, universities like AIMS or KEM or the places. But somewhere the parents sensed that she was miserable. She was not happy. Extremely high aptitude, but
Hmm.
perhaps personality, interest, emotional quotient, strengths, values didn't align with that. They sensed it. They came to me. We of course started with counseling and then got into mentoring, and over a period of time I realized that this girl's aptitude is becoming a limiting factor and not
Hmm.
really something which will help her bloom and grow, right?
Mm-hmm.
We know the numbers, how many engineers quit after first year after getting into a great BTech,
Yeah.
or how
Mm-hmm.
many NEET students who want to believe they will want to become MBBS have a complete disorientation and disillusionment after first or second year. So many students who opt out. So taking corrective measures before that for these high achievers is one end of the spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
Another end of the spectrum is a lot of students who are completely lost. I don't know what to do. I am clueless. Where should I go? And then structuring those interventions, hand holding, is there. So those are many more examples that we've
So,
had.
but what was the final call for the NEET student? What did she land up doing then?
She did liberal sciences.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Where, has she completed it? Is she happy with the
So
choice?
parents are not in touch. The student is not in touch with me, but I know from my experience that she will be much happier
Hmm.
and successful in that direction. See, eventually, what do we want out of the kids, right? As parents who will be listening to this, or as students who will be listening to this podcast, eventually it is not about money, position, career, geography. At the end of the day, you want to be happy with what you do. You need to be
Absolutely.
very satisfied and happy with what you do. That doesn't mean you don't be aspirational.
Of
Of course,
course.
you aspire. Of course, you want more in life. But you can't have a miserable growth. You need to have a happy growth. So the idea is to find that location which becomes a launch pad for the student, where happiness is the bedrock on which they are growing. So I'm sure she's happy, just to answer your question, Sashi. And I'm sure because you're happy, because you're in the domain which you truly enjoy, instead of 6 hours, you're going to work for 14 hours, 16 hours, and go the extra mile to make it happen.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Success will certainly follow, but happiness is not necessary. So you need to be clear about the distinction between the two.
Yeah.
You could be very successful, but you may not be too happy about it. So yeah, balancing it matters the most. And I'm very happy to see that there are children who and parents especially who are encouraging to make such switches, which is going to be very important for the entire lifespan of that child.
Yeah.
And happy to hear such stories. So in fact, when you look at your own journey today, I would say progress means beyond just numbers or revenue,
Yeah.
right? Because many people assume growth is a straight line, but in reality it often happens in cycles. Growth, plateau, then reinvention. It's cyclic. How have you personally navigated those phases where progress slowed down temporarily?
Yes. So, in the last about 5.5 years of starting EduPathways, there have been times where, uh, especially in the second year and the third year, once COVID lockdown stopped and it ended and people started moving out, and somewhere parents felt the need of very clear need of in-person conversation, as uh, I was largely online at that point of time.
Mm,
So that brought the desire, or the need rather, to have an office, which I had a small place in the locality where I stay in. And this year I've expanded to two more localities in the city where I'm now operating from Lower Parel BKC. So uh, the idea was to listen to what the parents want, what the students want, and the medium of conversation is changing offline from online. That is one change which is happening.
mm,
Another change is the need for solving another problem. So, more and more parents are enrolling for profile building right from grade 9, grade 10 for
mm.
universities, where there is a real problem where they don't know directionally how. Everything is known. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. But how do you go about doing it in a structured manner
What's the
along
right
with their
sequence?
academics?
Yeah.
Yes, yes,
Mm,
yes. And essentially hand holding them rather than pushing them, go and do this, provide a little bit of a nudge. Let's try this, see if it works. It doesn't work, no problem. Exam season is on. Okay, let the profile take a back seat and we will do minor things. And once the exam is over, we amplify it and do major things. So the idea is to help them get into a great university. The
mm,
idea is to, as I said earlier, probably I'm repeating, to help them realize their true potential at a personal, academic, and eventually at a professional level once they finish their studies. Um, so and parents have continued to ask for, uh, largely parents who come to me are the ones who are seriously invested in the kids, which is a big positive
mm,
sign, and they are much more open to listening to ideas, which helps expand the scope.
yeah.
They ask questions, yes, but there are some parents who, unfortunately, are still stuck in the 90s and 2000s, where they finished their graduation and a very siloized approach to, engineering, medicine, CAs, CFA. They want safe careers. They want, or they want safe bets, even in a lot of other things in personal mentoring and leadership coaching.
Mm,
Where I politely tell them that this is something which you're expecting something which will perhaps not work only in today's day and age. If your child is built for JE, if your child is built for NEET on all parameters, 100% go chase
yeah.
that dream.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it is not, don't try to be a carpenter who is wanting to, chisel and cut the wood in a particular way. Be a gardener, provide the right environment, provide the right nurturing, and let the flower and the shrub bloom the way it
Mhm.
wants to bloom. Our job is to support them, me as a mentor and you as a parent to support them. There's one more challenge which is funny, where parents come to me and say, आप प्लीज बोलिए कि उसको यही करियर करना है, वो हमारी नहीं सुनता है. Okay.
How classic
And
is that? I can,
yeah, 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 yeah.
being a parent myself, I can relate to it. Not that I've done that, but I hear a lot of my friends, wanting to
Yes.
push the kids in that direction, that they've already predetermined.
So my question to them is, why do you think this is the best direction for them? They're like, नहीं मुझे पता है यहाँ पे सक्सेस होगा. Then I'm like, okay, why are you coming to me then? We want somebody to tell him he's not listening to. This is your refund of fees. I will do what is good for the student
Yeah.
in the short, medium, and long term. I can have conversations where you believe this is the right thing, then let's reason it out, let's spec it out and understand. If there is merit in what you're saying, and at least in my limited understanding, if I uh, agree and we both come to a common ground, and sure, we will nudge the kid in that direction. But if it is coming from some preconceived notions and you want to satisfy your unfulfilled desire of becoming a doctor engineer yourself, and you want to play it through your child, then good luck to you, because you're going to break your head against the wall after 5 years.
Yeah. See, I mean, one side is the story of the parent, right?
Yeah,
The other side is, I mean, you're in an era where young people today, the Gen Zs, the Gen Alpha, are growing up in an environment filled with constant comparison, social
yeah,
media pressure, and too many choices.
yeah.
How does your coaching model help students develop clarity and confidence in such a complex environment?
Again, it comes down to bare bones basics, right? As there's a very interesting quote. Each one of us is unique, just like everybody else. Okay, so you've come with your own unique traits, your
Hmm,
own unique personality, your own unique genetic code, interests, and you look tall, short, you're dark, fair, whatever it is. First of all, be very okay with what you are. Okay, there are certain things which you can't change. There are certain things which you can, and there is reinforcement of this belief system over a period of time.
yeah.
Okay, because it's very easy. In fact, adults also get sucked into this person's life is so beautiful, vacationing in Hawaii, going to what was it, Fonseca, and a lot of other places. We are not going, but get a grip on life, and in a very different way that is being communicated to students. That comparison is good if it's going to help you perform
Hmm,
better, inspire you to do more, motivate you to move yourself outside from your comfort zone. But eventually it's going to drain you completely, and this
yeah.
is being reinforced again and again, where the idea is I'm okay with I am. There's a lot of scope
Hmm.
for improvement, but at a fundamental level I'm very okay with what I
So
am, who I
is
am.
that your starting point of your journey with any student?
Yes, yes, yes. Career counseling, personal mentoring, profile building, uh, leadership coaching are four areas where we start by saying that, look, let's identify where you are, where you want
Hmm,
to go, and what is the gap, and how are we going to fill
absolutely.
it.
And it's your personal journey. Each one
Exactly.
is unique in its own right. But, having said that, as your venture grows and reaches more students, how do you retain the core values you started with? I mean, in terms of personalized attention, deeper mentoring, and meaningful engagement. So, how do you plan to keep this going? Because it's a very personalized journey from a mentor to a mentee.
Right, right. So that is the question that I always ask, that I definitely don't want to dilute at any level whatever is the outcome which is being delivered to the student, the process and the outcome, both
Hmm.
the thing. More process, outcome will follow from there. And that's the reason, as I'm looking to expand, I'm looking to hire people to help take it to the next level, because I can only do so many things in the hours that I have. And there are more students and parents coming in to do justice to get the next level of leadership. I am very, very choosy about picking up people. Passion is something which is should be the driving force, and hoping to find more such passionate people who will. Capability, a little bit of capability at a bare bones level is what is required. Otherwise, passion will help build it up over a period of time, is what
Right.
I believe. So the idea is to get likely passionate and not necessarily like-minded people into the system.
Right. I'm sure, Rahul, you would have faced fear of failure internally
Yeah.
and, being maybe allergic to ambiguity. How have you learned to walk with fear instead of waiting for it to disappear before taking actions? Because I think many people, I'm sure many people who are listening are also stuck in various things, maybe career, geography, family pressures, you know, what questions can they ask themselves to move from feeling trapped to feeling in charge of their next step?
What is the worst that will happen if I fail?
Hmm.
What is the worst that will happen? Is the question that I always ask. What is the worst that will happen? Okay, this is the worst that will happen. Okay, this is the worst that will happen. So what? I've already been through that. I'll handle it again. So that's one. Second, I think the bigger problem that I have seen a lot of people have, and I've gone through it at some stages in my life, is what will people say? What is going to be my public persona if I fail over here? Okay. So दुनिया का सबसे बड़ा रोग क्या कहेंगे लोग, as we've heard that a lot of times. If that is something that you are able to live with, that I'm okay to look like a fool for this time, and I know with my resourcefulness, capability, or simply passion and desire, I'm going to create something else eventually. So that fear of failure, the fear of looking stupid, looking like a fool, where you've gambled away everything that you had for something like this, keep it out. We only have one life. Although in our Hindu philosophy we say that we are going to be reborn
Hmm.
in different ways, eventually we only have one life, right?
Yeah,
Do what is ethical, legal, for you and for the world, and then go and amplify and live that life.
right. Totally agree, because I couldn't agree any less or more on this, because even when I started this journey of podcasting, I think I've been thinking about this for well over 5 years. In fact, I started recording few things during COVID, but it just puts you back into the loop, because you're always wanting to look perfect, you being the right time, you don't want people to think that you're a fool, you sounded so ridiculous. There are so many tags attached to us, which stops us from really taking that first step. But comes a moment in life when you realize, how does it really matter? What matters is really taking the step, no matter what the outcome is. But when you reach that point of influx where it doesn't matter anymore, that's where magic happens. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely, 100%. And the magic might not happen immediately, but that decision to take that leap, whether it's a leap of action, leap of faith, or whatever we name it as, and that starts creating opportunities, because a lot of things which are limiting us start opening up.
True. Having said that, you're an entrepreneur now, and anybody in the leadership position, no matter what stage or phase of life they are in, there is something called as leadership plateau syndrome, right? Which is a very real thing. In fact, that happens to be my research topic for my doctorate program that I'm doing.
Oh,
So
wonderful.
even
Okay.
for entrepreneurs, when you feel internally stuck, what helps you keep taking excellence to the next level without becoming harsh on yourself?
So
Because this
interesting
could
question.
be this could be the question for what next for you also, right? I mean, all of us reach a plateau phase.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the plateau might come because of two, three reasons. One is the goal which was set is achieved, and
Hmm.
so now what is the driving force for me to move ahead? Second could be that probably I'm losing interest. I'm losing my passion, as I was passionate about proving something that has already been proved or not proved, either ways, and you're losing interest or passion towards it. Okay. And third reason for leadership plateau is simply something that excited you at one point of time does not excite you at all for some new opportunity that has come in, or the outside external scenario has completely changed, which in a way is connected to point two, which I shared earlier.
Hmm.
uh, I think it helps to take a step back. It helps to spend time just thinking over what are the challenges. It helps to have friends and mentors to speak with and
Hmm.
clarify this dilemma. And eventually, the answer comes that why is it that I'm really doing this? At the end of the day, what is it that drives me to do this? It's okay to take a pause. It's okay to take a break. It's okay to reassess. But the eventual driving force was, this is what I truly enjoy. This is what I truly passionate about. This is what I truly want to do, even if I die tomorrow, even if I'm not getting paid. Then so be it.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
In fact, wonderful conversation, Rahul, and as we start probably wrapping up this conversation,
Yeah.
if someone listening right now feels stuck between their own dreams and their own deadlines, maybe they feel they don't have enough clarity or courage to take the next step.
Yeah.
What is one small action they can take in the next 24 hours to start moving forward, in your opinion? Because
Find a
you have been
mentor.
there, you've been there.
Find a mentor. Find somebody who's your sounding board.
Hmm,
He or she might be in family, might be a friend, might be a spouse, might be somebody who you don't know at all. I don't know if we realize it, but getting the right mentor completely can change the trajectory of your life, trajectory of
hmm,
your decision making, trajectory of opportunities that come to you, and more importantly, how to grab those opportunities and amplify them. So
hmm,
please find a mentor. Is some I would have loved to have had a mentor when I was growing up. I
hmm.
am convinced that the trajectory of life would have been very, very different. But that is the space that I am trying to fill in for students from the most formative years. But for
Hmm.
somebody who's much experienced, please read books. A dying habit and an art form today, but please do read books. Extremely insightful people have spent 2 years, 3 years, 4 years of their life researching and have condense them in 200, 300, 350 pages for us to learn and consume. Please do
Hmm.
that. Can't emphasize enough. And please find a mentor. Nothing more can give you the kind of clarity, satisfaction, and opportunities and handholding. We
Yeah,
tend to be these soloists, right? Sorry, solo people.
yeah,
Western classical music has an entire orchestra
yeah.
where there are 60, 100 people. And Indian classical music, तबला, सितार, तबला वाला plays, फिर सितार वाले को देखता है अभी तू बजा. सितार plays, तबले वाले को देखता है तू बजा. So we are a culture which tends to really worship individual excellence. We look up to
Yeah.
leaders. We look up to people who independently, individually have done that. But
Mm,
in real life, I think it's something to learn from the Western orchestra. It
yeah.
helps to have a lot of support system in place.
Absolutely. Sometimes it could
Yeah.
be just, I mean, for me, what has always worked is just note note down, what is the next immediate milestone that you want to accomplish, a small step forward in the journey,
Awesome.
and then just tick it off. And you know that you're moving towards the milestone that you eventually want to carve for yourself. Sometimes your desires are very large, but you need to break it down into bite-sized pieces so that at least you're moving in that direction. So this is something that has worked for me. Just note down what is the next station I want to reach, and then you move on from there, but keep moving. So Rahul, thank you for sharing your journey so openly and honestly with me today. Your story is a reminder that the path between dreams and deadline is rarely straight, but the lessons we learn along the way shape who we become. And to everyone listening today, I want to leave you with a simple reflection. Ask yourself honestly, which phases are you in right now? Is it the passion, the pain, the purpose, or the progress? No matter wherever you are, I'm sure there is always the next step to take it forward. And more importantly, what is the next brave question you need to ask yourself today? So, thank you, Rahul, for being there and being part of this journey. Thank you.